Sam McKewon is the newsman. Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. On the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Well, busy day for our good friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald, who joins us now on the Prairie Flyer Casino Zone hotline. Sam, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, it is busy. That's for sure.
I don't want to skip right by Friday because that's what our conversation would have been about had news not come down a couple hours ago. So it's
connected.
Yeah, it definitely is connected. What did Nebraska solve the root cause of how it happened on Friday with what they did today, or how are they connected?
Oh, I don't know that they did. No, I think that the issue with the run defense goes deeper than John Butler's schematics. Now, what I will say is that he was pretty frank. He's a very honest guy, and I appreciate that about Butler. He was very frank last week with his comments related to needing to go out and get more players in the portal, and they dedicated a lot of schematic resources, as he said it, to stopping the run, and that it gets dangerous. And he was almost kind of implying that the pass defense that he had spent so much of the season cultivating was suffering because they were deploying so many schematic resources to stopping the run. The team didn't get very many sacks. The team didn't get very many tackles for loss. Didn't get a lot of takeaways. It did a pretty good job of obviously preventing big pass plays. It did a good job of that, but it couldn't stop the run. Defensive front seven couldn't consistently make plays behind the line of scrimmage. I do think some of that's personnel, but ultimately, they were willing to cash him out. I don't know that John's going to go get another coordinator job somewhere. I don't know what the story is at Boston College where Bill O'Brien's coaching. It's hard for me to say that he's going to get one, but I think they were I just don't think there was enough adaptation from what they wanted to have done, and then I think there was some friction after the Minnesota game, of like he didn't call it very aggressively, and then Butler did some of those things, and then didn't go that well, so on and so forth. These kinds of things happen, and the largest issue is probably the money. The money's probably $1.1 million. He may go get another job somewhere. I'm sure he's very upset and frustrated that things went the way they did toward the end of the year, but I thought the defense took a turn for the much worse in those last two games.
Yep.
That I think was probably what did Butler in. He's a good coach, but those last two games were a collapse on the against the run and against the pass. And you got to remember the way that college football is played now. There's not as many plays as there used to be. And Nebraska's offense isn't very explosive. So you're not out there for that many plays. So when somebody says, well, they only gave up, 379 yards. Well, yeah, they gave that up over 61 plays. Now you put that at 81 plays, it looks a lot different. But Nebraska's offense moves like molasses so that it can protect the defense. And so right now the defense just isn't good enough. And that was the choice Rhule made today. I don't know exactly where it's going to go from here, but that's what happened.
Will that still be from a personnel perspective, I don't know that there's like a huge overhaul coming. They're going to try and get some guys in the transfer portal, especially up front, I would guess, but whoever inherits the defense next year is, they're going to be working with a lot of the same pieces, right? So I guess what needs to happen as far as a big change on that defensive side from a schematics perspective or from a mentality perspective to get that defense playing well next year?
I don't know. I think there's some things you can do. We'll wait to hear from Rhule on Wednesday and see what he has to say about it. I just don't think that defense was playing with the same amount of edge and aggressiveness and toughness and fire that it was 2 years ago. And even if you don't think Tony White had all the answers, Tony White was doing a better job of getting that, and that they were older and they were hungrier because Nebraska had so little success. But whatever it was, I just didn't see it I didn't see it consistently this and certainly up front, it just never got a lot better. And yeah, I think what Butler would say is, well, these weren't my groceries. I didn't shop for these guys, and a lot of these guys I inherited, and I would have loved to have had the opportunity to go out in the portal this coming December, and or in January and get my guys versus taking the DC job and trying to shift on the fly. I understand that totally. I mean, I think that's probably a fair perspective too. So whoever is going to take over that job, it could be Phil Snow full term. It could be Addison Williams full term, although he didn't get named the interim defensive coordinator. It could be somebody else. Whoever it is going to get an opportunity to do some things with a transfer portal, but you have to get the players on hand better, and they have to improve. I don't know if this is the end of the staff changes or if it's just the beginning on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, it's clear that already part of the answer is yes. But will Friday's loss to Iowa be one of the ones that, like, it just kind of causes this sort of ripple effect and makes it makes Matt Rhule sort of look inside and view, all right, are we really because that's kind of what Iowa does, and that's what given that game is takes place when it takes place. And if you lose it the way Nebraska lost it, it makes you sort of wonder some things about yourself. So will that tell you that will send off this ripple effect of a bunch of moves in the upcoming weeks? Or I guess, I don't know. I can't imagine it feels good inside those walls right now.
No, I don't think it does. I think that's okay. That's understandable. I think somewhere in there that the magnitude of the struggle, especially in the last two games, but really in all of Big Ten play, probably sunk in. And yeah, they sunk in. And I'm kudos to Cincinnati for going 7-5. I think for many weeks it was like, well, Nebraska hasn't really played that well in Big Ten play, but they beat Cincinnati. Well, that team finished 7-5, and I think lost the last 4. And that you can't hang your hat on that. You can't hang your hat on we beat a Big 12 team by 3 that was the same record as we were. That's not going to get it done. So you're measured by what you do in the Big Ten. The teams that they played in the Big Ten, the teams they beat in the Big Ten had a combined record of 9-27 in the Big Ten. Those teams were not good. 2 of them fired their coach. One of them certainly could have in Maryland and Mike Locksley, but they brought him back. And then the other one was Northwestern. So they beat Northwestern, Maryland, UCLA, and Michigan State. And I think those were, 3 of them were 3 of the, 5 worst teams in the Big Ten. So, let's not sugarcoat it. Yes, of course, they came close to beating Michigan and USC. They didn't do it. And Scott Frost came close to beating good teams during his tenure all the time and didn't do it. So where do I think they've grown? I think they've grown in the ability to beat teams that they should beat,
Yep.
and that's something that often eluded Frost. Often. But that's all they're at. Now you got to go out there and get some big wins, and they really haven't done that yet. They beat Colorado. That was probably their best win. And they haven't really done that away from home, So I think there's a lot to work on here, and I think they all know it. And I think the understanding of urgency is there. 5-7, 7-6, and they'll either go 8-5 or 7-6 this year. And you can't replicate that record then next year. And there are some people that are just like, well, they made some progress, so we'll go into year 4, and then they'll go 7-6 in year 4. Well, I don't know, might be year 5, and it goes into year 5.
Right.
You can do that, but that's not what Nebraska's investing all this money to do. Is to wait until it gets good. They want to get good right now.
So is this a? I mean, it's a key question. I guess Rhule will have to sort of answer. Is this another year of in the offseason you sort of double down, or is this a big shakeup? And I'm not just talking about coaching staff. Do you have to rethink the way that you're trying to win football games and all that stuff? I wonder what's all under the microscope over the next couple of weeks as they try to plant the seeds for 2026.
I don't know. I think you could almost say, hey, you know what, guys, we've built the brand enough. Now let's go win football games and cut some of that stuff out. I felt like they amped up the brand even more this season. So this season it was, okay, this is the player-led team. We're going to wear the all reds and the all whites, and we're going to have the blackout, and we're going to anoint captains, 5 of whom are involved with passing or defending the pass. Emmett Johnson's somehow not going to be one of the captains or one of the single jerseys. Like I thought, like they tried to lean into a lot of things this year, and then just fell short. They got to the end of the season. They played Penn State and Iowa. It felt like they looked tired, and it's not that they weren't trying hard. They looked like they could not compete against Penn State and Iowa. They did not look like they could physically compete against those teams, and that's the problem, because that's what it takes to win in this thing. And that's just the bottom line. I'm sure today, just as a comparison, Washington's sitting there 8-4, I think, and I'm sure their coaches are sitting there today and like, guys, all right, now how the hell did we beat Oregon? Like, because they lost by 12, they played pretty well, but they didn't make the plays they needed, and they're probably looking around and going, guys, we can't protect our quarterback. How the hell do we beat Oregon? And that's going to be the focus of their offseason conversation. Well, Nebraska's got to focus their offseason conversation on how do we beat Iowa, Minnesota, and teams like Penn State? How do we beat teams that just want to shove our face mask in? And that's going to be the conversation they're having all off season, because that's the thing that they're still struggling against.
Yep, lot to sort out, and we're at the very beginning, the tip of the iceberg, if you will. Speaking of iceberg, Sam has looked outside recently, and he's sort of felt that a little bit. Welcome to basketball season officially, Sam. We appreciate you taking the time, and we'll let you go. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Great stuff as always. He saw the net rankings today. He tweeted about them.
Whoa.
Sam knows ball.
You had this whole thing. You were going to celebrate the net.
Well,
didn't get to.
Now we have some time.
Mm-hmm.
We have some time. I mean, we still got some Lane Kiffin stuff that we could talk about. Oh, I can still get mad at instant replay.
Oh, yeah.
We could discuss how Duke ended up in the ACC championship game, because that happened.
Should have just put Miami in.
Volleyball call. Oh my God. Whew, that was a tough hang. tough hang. So we'll be back and discuss some of those things after this here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But first, football season is in full swing. However you'd like to get in on the action, you can do it on Underdog right now in Nebraska this season. You can make team picks and player picks. Just download the app, sign up, and you'll get $100 in bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Using Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite team will win or if your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Plus, with Underdog's ultra-fast payouts, you can get your profits in a snap. So download the app today and use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $100 in bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Player picks, team picks, all on Underdog. Crypto.com predictions powered by Underdog predict. Trading derivatives involve risk and may not be appropriate for all. For more information, visit nadex.com/rules and underdogfantasy.com/rules. For Crypto.com predictions, the term pick refers to a product traded on CDNA. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/